here today with, introduce yourself.
Bola, or Bola Bankz, as some people may know me as.
Yeah, I know Bola from just Twitter.
Mm.
So I thought he has some interesting things to say about kind of society and stuff. So I thought it'd be good to get him in as someone who we could talk to. So start off like,
Yeah, we'll see.
where are you from?
I'm from Streatham, so
Streatham.
South London.
What was it like growing up there for you?
Growing up in Streatham was an interesting experience. Like, I think it's a great place to like have your formative years
Yeah.
because you're like simultaneously in the middle of nowhere and in the middle of everywhere, especially in South. Like South kind of becomes a bubble, and like that's your whole world almost.
Yeah. So I think South can sometimes be isolated.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
like we were just talking a bit off mic about how like you're into grime and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like South had a grime scene, but it was totally isolated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think South's quite distinct as well. So I think because South's a bit further out than like East or North, you have your own sort of culture in a way.
Yeah, it's further out, doesn't have as good transport links.
Yeah.
You know, like everyone makes jokes about how like there's still trams in Croydon and whatnot.
Yeah.
But it's different.
I guess the gap's bigger as well between like rich and poor, because like
Oh yeah, absolutely.
if you live in East, like we're in East right now, it's not that hard to get to places.
No.
Or like when I lived in North, unless you're really far north, it's also not very hard.
But I don't know, I feel like the gap between rich and poor is probably the same everywhere in London though.
Yeah.
Like West London especially, East London definitely, like
Yeah,
across the road.
Yeah, West London you notice it more
Mm.
because people are so rich in West.
Yeah, yeah.
That's where all like the richest people live. So when you see someone that's really poor, it like really stands out.
Exactly. Like in South, I guess there's a lot of like sick houses and whatnot, but people more like quietly rich.
Yeah.
Like you got like a lot of footballers and whatnot living in South, but you would never know.
Yeah. It's like this area. Like I live in Leighton. It's where we are now, and like it's mostly kind of a working class area. But like up the road, there's this big mansion,
Yeah.
and it has like a massive wall around it, trying to protecting it from the rest of the community, which is a bit weird because I feel like whoever lives there isn't really involved
Yeah.
in the street. Because if I go into like Percy Ingle or the shop,
They probably
or the phone shop,
you probably never see them like on the road.
yeah,
They just like literally come there to lay their head and
yeah,
then go
and that's
about it.
weird, especially if they're from London. But I'm not even from London, but I've tried to make an effort to like be visible in my area. Like I don't know many people super well, but if I chat to someone, I gain so much out of that.
So you feel like integration is like really important.
Yeah, I think integration is very important, especially in such a multicultural place. Like,
Yeah, I'd agree.
obviously, everybody's going to have their own culture and their own ideas about the world, but like in day-to-day life, like at work or when you're walking down the street or on the tube, you can still be good to people.
Yeah,
you try.
kindness costs nothing, man. Like,
Yeah,
but I don't know. More than being good to people, I feel like it is like more having a personal sense of responsibility to make a difference where you can,
yeah, that's very true.
which is kind of lacking in a lot of people.
Yeah, I think when you get into the city mindset, though, you get everyone's rushed.
That's London, man. That's
And
London.
they're living their life, and they don't notice other people. It's like I had, I don't know, the other day, there's this guy in Sainsbury's in Holborn, and he was just started shouting because of the machine.
Mm.
And like he wasn't even like if he was like mentally ill or something, I'd understand, but it's just like this upper middle class guy who just felt entitled to the machines like to serve him or whatever. And then he was just like, oh, I don't have time for this, and just like threw the money down and ran off. And the guy who worked there was obviously just like, I'm so tired of this shit. Like I work in retail myself, and that's, especially when you're in Central, that's just a constant reality.
Yeah.
It's just
Like I completely get that. However, like when we're talking about having empathy and shit like that, everyone's got their own problems. We just never know what they are. Like,
yeah.
And it may seem like inconsequential to us because he seems like an affluent guy or whatnot. But
Yeah,
like he might have had like the worst day.
That's true, and we're all imperfect. Like, there's days where I'm probably not very nice, and we have to overcome that.
Yeah, it's more like just being conscious, and it takes a lot of time and effort to like be constantly conscious of yourself and other people.
Yeah, and we don't live in a very conscious world, I think.
No.
So that's...
You have to actually want to be.
Yeah, you have to think about stuff and engage in debates and stuff.
Yeah, which is what we're here for, isn't it?
So the main thing I want to talk about with you is like young people, from like young working class people in general. Because like, I think across the country, regardless of background, there's a big gap between like the youth and like the mainstream society.
Yeah.
And that's obviously clearly represented in like music, or like in some cases like film and TV. But like, I think there's this whole like notion that no matter who you are, whether you're from the north or the south of England or Wales or Scotland or wherever, or what like background your family's from, if you're a chav, you're a chav. And that was sort of labelled in the media.
Yeah, I really hate that word.
Yeah, and that is just... And that became part of our vocabulary, you know. Like, I just see so many people just say that word so casually. And it sort of offends me.
Yeah, it's really offensive, man.
Yeah.
It really shows like a lack of attempt to understand the other side of things. Like the word chav. I mean, I really like the way Plan B flipped it. Like, I think he said it was council housing violence.
Council housing violence.
That's how like people perceive so-called chavs.
Yeah.
But there's a lot more to the story about like why things are like that. I think he showed that in his film Ill Manners.
Yeah.
Like,
Plan B was like iconic in that respect.
Yeah, man.
I haven't heard from him in a while.
No, I wonder what he's up to.
He's definitely an influence. Like, he was in that film as well with, is it Harry Brown?
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
I've seen Harry Brown.
And like, he's been in a few, he's in obviously adulthood.
Harry Brown's got one of my favourite songs with Plan B on it. It's End Credits or End Scene.
End Credits is a great song. Yeah. And Who Needs Actions When You Got Words is probably, for me, one of the defining like working class albums. Like, if you listen to that, man, it's proper intense. Like, some of it's brutal. Like, I think he was less censored then because he was quite young. So like, he said a lot of stuff that is a bit...
Is that like Charmaine
close
times?
to the vein, like Charmaine, and back in those days. Then he became like a soul singer, so he became a bit more refined. Yeah, and I actually come back to representation. Like, I think the first time I was introduced to you was when AJ Tracy had an interview with this woman on like Channel 4 or ITV, and the way she spoke to him, and like, I know this was time ago, but like the way she sort of patronised him and asked him loads of weird kind of like leading questions. I don't know if you remember the
I do remember.
thing,
I remember
but
completely. Yeah, it was really disgusting.
Yeah, and I think you said it was disgusting, and I think I said that that's so classist and like also racist, just sort of like, because she was just, I think she was just asking him about, what was she saying? I can't, like, his responsibility for crime or something.
I think he was, I don't know, I can't remember everything, but I remember that one of the things she said was like how he had like a lot of his friends in his videos. Yeah. And she was basically insinuating, or even more directly than insinuating, saying that like he had lots of gang members in his videos. Yeah. Which is like, you know,
but it's a similar
typical classism. And
it is, but like, they see gangs of young men, and they think, especially if they're wearing a certain clothing, or in London if they're of a certain like background, and they judge it. And it's shit. Like, people like might see that like someone like Novelist.
Right.
So, but Novelist is the complete opposite. Like, I went to his Novelist show and he's like rapping about Jesus and stuff. But like, people see a negative connotation to like people like middle class people. It's like, people who I'm like associated with. I went to the Novelist show and they were like, "Are you safe?" I was like, "What?" Like,
I don't know, man. I feel like
that's
it's
weird, man.
I feel like it's really
Like,
childish and kind of like immature, and also really reductive to
yeah,
kind of like label people just based on their clothing. Because like, even
exactly.
like, we're talking about like the whole feminist movement as well. Like fucking, you wouldn't say that a woman dressed it, however way she's dressed, like it kind of provocatively.
Yeah,
Like she doesn't deserve to be labeled in any kind of way. If something happens, she doesn't deserve to be raped or assaulted. So just because someone's wearing, like, I don't know, clothes that they feel comfortable in,
yeah,
that in no way means that they're a gang member, they're violent or whatever. They're just wearing clothes.
it's true, and it's clothes you're brought up in as well.
Yeah.
Like when I was at uni, I would like, I went for a phase where I'd be like wearing like stuff that really wasn't me, like chinos and stuff. I'd be like, I feel like a prick wearing this. like,
I never got into the whole chino.
Yeah, and it's like, that's not me, you know.
But I mean, it was like fashionable, I guess.
It was fashionable, but like, I was just doing it for other people. And I think in life, a lot of us do things for other people. And to sort of kind of belong. And that's dumb. But I guess we all do that when we're young.
Yeah, I mean, even not just when you're young, man, like all throughout life. But I feel like the closest you get to happiness is when you can just fully be yourself.
True.
You know?
Yeah. I think you need to embrace it. Especially as I've got into my sort of early 20s. I don't know how old you are, but I'm 23 now.
I'm 26.
Yeah. And like, when I was a teenager, you deal with a lot of kind of like emotions and stuff, and you're like trying to find your place in the world. And now you're sort of I'm becoming like who I want to be slowly.
Okay.
You know, still got to work jobs and do things to survive, but at the same time, like, I've got aspirations now. Whereas when I was like 15,
you couldn't really see
I was
it.
like, I just want to sit in my house and like play games and like.
I think that's the dopest thing for like a lot of youth now. I feel like with a lot of the incentives and I don't know, a lot of things that people are doing, like youth can see like ways that they can like kind of like blossom while fully being themselves. Like there's music, there's a great like what's the word? There's great I don't know, fam, like projects going on, you know, like I was speaking to you about the Outreach project by a girl I know called Lillian.
Yeah.
And that's doing amazing work for like inner city youth, especially in South London, but I guess across London as well, where like there's mentorship, whatever they want to get into, whether that be in media, whether that be sport, whether that be in business, you know. It's more like showing them, okay, there's other ways for you to grow into the adult that you want to be without necessarily following any crowd, and we will show you how to do it.
I think that's the great thing about London, though, in a way. Like, where I grew up, there really wasn't anything like that. Like, I'm from Bournemouth, and that's like probably mostly middle class, to be fair, but like, there is a working class like contingent. And that's not really represented because there aren't any schemes or like.
Is everyone in Bournemouth from Bournemouth? Or do you
not really, because Bournemouth is quite young. Like Bournemouth was founded in like 1900 or something.
Okay.
Like, so maybe probably a bit earlier than that. I'm not sure the exact date, but like, it's like quite a young town, and it's grown quite big. I think it's like now like nearly like 300,000 people, which is quite a lot. Like it's not tiny anymore. And like, I've seen a lot of stuff in my time. Like, it hasn't personally affected me, but like, especially when there was like a thing regarding like county lines sort of stuff. A lot of that comes to Bournemouth and like other towns.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't know.
It's funny you bring up county lines. Like that's been a thing for the longest time.
Yeah.
But it's only like recently that it's like so like sensationalized in the media.
Well, because the media have sensationalized it. Like, because like I knew of that years ago.
Yeah.
I knew there were gangs in like Boscombe and like parts of Bournemouth.
I'm sure you would because you were living there.
Yeah, like that were from like Liverpool or London or Manny, and they would come down and they'd implant drugs or whatever, which like, and get younger kids to sort of from the area to exploit them. But like then they're also exploiting kids from their own areas. So they're shipping, like a lot of kids from estates in London can't go missing, which is not something people always talk about. And they find them like years later, like living in like Surrey or something, in like some trap house.
Yeah.
And like...
That's the reality.
Yeah.
It's definitely exploitative. So, I don't know, like some of the kids obviously they really want to do that because of the money incentive.
Yeah. I think Top Boy put a light on that.
Most recently, yeah, 100, they definitely did. They never used any labels on it though. Didn't call it Cunch or County Lines.
Yeah.
They were just like, yeah, let's go out there, set up shop.
Yeah.
But it's real.
And I think they kind of, even though it's London focused, they kind of nationalised it. So you obviously had that, like Kano's character Sully and that kid.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Jay.
They went to like a coastal town and like started a little thing there.
So,
and then.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, sorry. And then like in another part of it, like they sent the two little boys to Manchester to pick up something or do something. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, I forgot that happened twice.
Yeah. And they kind of showed that it's a national kind of working class thing instead of demonizing a specific kind of community.
Yeah.
Which I think happens a lot in our media. Like, when you look at the news, especially in the last few years, like you said, where it's like gangs in London or whatever, it's kind of sensationalized. Like, obviously it's bad, but like, people have a very weird perception of London. Like relatives of mine will say like, they haven't been to London probably for about like 10 years, but they'll say like, oh, why'd you live there for? It's dangerous. And it's like, it's not really like, it's not dangerous. Like, it's England at the end of the day.
Mate, people that don't live in London have the most to say about London.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think you need to live somewhere to really understand it.
Yeah. Or just like, don't read the fucking Daily Mail.
Exactly. Daily Mail's like mad propaganda.
Mate, all tabloids are now. I think
all the news.
You've got way too much time on your hands if you're reading tabloids. Just filling your brain with bullshit.
I don't even watch TV anymore. I think that's a big thing with our generation. It's like, what do people listen to? Like, they listen to music, they watch YouTube, they listen to podcasts. Maybe occasionally Netflix, but then Netflix isn't really that popping anymore.
I think it is.
You think so?
Yeah, man. Especially with like a lot of the original content they've made.
Yeah, Al Camino was good. I saw that. That was good.
I like that as well. We've got mixed reviews.
Yeah, but I don't know. Kind of lost my train of thought, but like, we're creating our own media.
Yeah.
And I was saying this earlier on Twitter. I was like I apply for so many like jobs in like film or radio or like whatever or TV. And I don't want to like put myself on blast that hopefully this doesn't isolate me. But sometimes it's like, what's the point? Because most of the time it's like either a no or they ignore you. And then you're wasting your time doing that when I could just be doing my own thing. Yeah,
man. I feel like with a lot of those kind of like industry things with like broadcasting and whatnot, it usually comes down to who you know. If not, then you might be able to get like an apprenticeship, which may lead to something, may lead to nothing.
How long have you been doing this kind of stuff for?
Well, like, podcasting only about a year. I've always been like really interested into the scene, but never really like been in the content creation business.
What's your main like motivation for?
I feel like This is the thing, right? Like with our media, with our scene, our culture, it's like we care about it, but not everyone cares enough to have an opinion or to speak about it. So my thing is, like, if you care, then it's really important for your voice to be heard, because that's the only way that we grow, you know? It's the only way that, like, a lot of our issues and whatnot, like, get talked about and then eventually resolved, because there's a lot of bullshit going on and whatnot, and if we don't talk about it, then it will get swept under the carpet, you know?
Yeah, I think we need to express ourselves openly, especially when we have all this stuff available to us, like social media and like fairly kind of cheap like camera equipment now. Like years ago, like you had to go to film school or like music school to like get in, but now you don't have to do that necessarily.
I mean, there are still like some barriers to entry. Like even though like equipment is a lot cheaper, I know like a lot of people, like a lot of friends that are doing the whole media thing now, like either like photographers or videographers, or I don't know, they do sound or whatnot, that do some questionable things just to get the equipment, you know?
Yeah.
Like there's funding for things, but it's still not 100% accessible.
And that's the sad reality, I think. Because like so many of us have like dreams to do things, but we're sort of restricted by like money and like Yeah,
man, money's the root, man. It's the root of everything.
money's the root. People say money is important, but in a way it's not to your personal life, but you need money to do a lot of things in life.
Yeah, man, just to get in here, bro.
Yeah,
like,
just
you
to
can't
get
even
here.
leave your house in London without some change in your pocket, man.
Yeah, got to get the train or the bus, or you got to get the equipment. You know, you've got places like this, which like this is a pub.
Yeah.
Like they're very kind to like let me use it, but like we're still like buying refreshments and stuff like otherwise because they're running a business.
Oh, yeah.
So it all stacks up.
It does. I mean, one thing that I would give the government credit for is the whole like free transport for kids thing, because I mean, like when I was growing up, like very early, I must have been up until like year 7 or 8, like still paying for travel. It was only until like maybe year 9 possibly when the free Oyster came in, and that makes a whole difference to the kids.
Oh,
like,
it does definitely.
Like the whole world kind of opens up for them.
Because kids need to go out and see stuff.
Exactly.
They can't just like stay in their area because they become like isolated.
There you go.
Mentally.
There you go. And some people, like, even with that, they still can't go to other areas, you know.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know, man. We have hope.
Yeah, I mean, but sometimes they kind of take it away from you. It's a very sinister way the society and the government kind of run sometimes. Because like, I remember when I was younger, when I was going to college, they gave me a bus pass.
Okay.
So I got subsidised bus, which made it a lot easier for me to get there, and it made it a lot easier on my mum.
Was that in Bournemouth?
Yeah. And like, but like I was late like once or twice, and then they took it away from me.
Yeah.
So then I was kind of like in a shit situation.
Yeah.
Like, and then I had to borrow more money from my mum, which puts pressures on her because she was just like, she was a cleaner at the time. Like, she didn't have loads of money. And then that made me feel kind of bad.
Yeah.
So that they do kind of put, they might not be doing it deliberately, depends on who you ask, but like they do put barriers in place sometimes to restrict young people and restrict working class people in general.
I get that 100%. I can't think of any like specific examples, but that's a very true story, man. It's a very true story. I mean, even with like EMA, I guess, which is educational maintenance allowance.
Yeah.
That was for kids in colleges that like if you go to like lessons and whatnot, by the end of the week you get like 30 quid. And that was like a big deal to like a lot of kids. A lot of kids would like go to school solely for that reason, just so they have some money in their pocket.
Yeah.
But again,
for a young kid, that's a lot of money.
It is. But again, like, if you missed classes, or for any other reason, or like you were late, punctuality wasn't great, that'll be taken away.
Yeah. But when you're young, that seems like the best thing ever. Getting money. But to have it snatched from you like that is really...
Yeah, man. So it's like, on one side, are they making barriers to entry for progression, or is it like tough love kind of thing?
Yeah, that's true. Sometimes I think, but the conservative kind of ideology is very into that kind of like tough love thing. Like you got to kind of be like, you got to work hard and you got to pull yourself up from your bootstraps. But like, at the same time, it's like, yeah, you can say like, we all have to try and work for what we want, obviously. But like, when you're like the police and you're pulling up for kids for like just standing outside a shop for loitering, and you want them to do stuff apart from just sit home and play games, and then you're like, but saying, oh, you can't do that here. If they're not doing anything, they're not doing anything. You're criminalizing them.
Yeah, and it also just gives like a negative perception of the police that could last for years.
Yeah.
You know, like that shit used to happen all the time. I don't know, I guess with the changes to like stop and search and stuff, as I grew older, I stopped seeing that as much. But I'm sure if you ask a kid, like, it probably still happens today, probably still get harassed by police.
I think it still happens. They've maybe not as intense as they were because they've been quite heavily criticised.
Yeah.
But I've seen videos the other day, like obviously, I don't want to assume because I'm not knowledgeable of the whole situation, but there was like a girl in one of the tube stations and they had her pinned down on the floor. And allegedly it was just because, oh, you smell of weed.
No way.
Which I don't know the context. Like, this was the
That's
person
fucking bullshit, bro.
This is the person tweeting, so I don't know what the situation was. But at the same time, it's like, well, if that's true, then what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, man. I don't know how true that is, but bro, I can smell the weed if I fucking want to.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if I'm not selling it. Like, what weed is a Class C drug, I believe. Like,
yeah, weed isn't even that much of a big deal anymore, really, legally.
If you smoke it in your house, there's nothing that can happen. Like, also, it's been legalized all over the world. Fucking Theresa May and her husband own like a weed business.
Do they?
Yeah, bro.
I didn't even know that.
Like they're making money off weed, so.
Where in England?
Probably not in England, no.
Elsewhere.
Yeah, but they've invested in it, and it's going to be a boom in the economy.
Yeah. But there's again, already like weed cafes.
In London?
Yeah.
Not legal.
Not legal ones?
Yeah.
No, I know. I know they're not legal. But like I was watching a video of, you know, Lippy Lickshot?
Yeah.
He was saying he went to a weed cafe, like an underground one. He was telling a story about that.
I've been to a few.
And like, that still exists, so they're obviously not policing it very well. So why are they not raiding those people, but they're like, there's a kid on the street?
I would say they are, because those weed cafes tend to get shut down and then like pop up again. So it does happen.
Yeah, I've never really been to one, but like, so that's interesting to know. So like, because more into that, like, I think the other day as well on Twitter, you shared like a kid was like, he had like a grinder and like a little bit of weed.
Yeah.
And the Met put up, was like, we've arrested this guy. And like, they've arrested Pablo Escobar or something.
Yeah, that was yesterday, man. And I guess it says it all, you know.
Yeah.
It's quite funny. I don't know, man. I don't know if it's they're trying to meet quotas or whatnot. I think the kid was a bit of an idiot because he was apparently smoking a joint like at a bus station in public, age 16. Like, fair enough. I mean, I personally don't think kids should be smoking weed just for like the health reasons. You know? Like, you're still growing and whatnot.
When you're young,
might fuck with your head
sort of vulnerable to that.
But okay, like you're smoking weed, cool. Going down the whole route of arresting them and fucking like proper like posting up like, we've caught the baddest guy in England. This is his grinder and his fucking bends of weed. Like, come on, man.
There's so many more horrible people doing evil stuff. And there's this kid like, he might have been a bit silly, but
yeah, like,
he's not like a.
Don't like fucking glory hunt of this kid.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
It's all persona with them. Like, look at us, look what we did.
But I guess that shows how out of touch they are also. Because they probably thought that looks like a win. And it looks like a big L.
Yeah, that is... They just make themselves look dumb sometimes. There's pioneering, there's people that try and change it, obviously. Like, there's good police officers and good people in authority.
100%.
But the bad ones make it look a bit difficult.
That's how it is with like everything in life, you know. You could do 100 good things, and once you do one bad thing, that's what they remember you for.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, with the police, it's more than just one bad thing.
And once you've got like a record, no matter how small it is, you're kind of penalised for life, especially in England or America, or like trying to get a job.
Can be true.
So, I don't know. You talk a lot about music, and you're like a big music guy.
Yeah.
Talking about kind of the working class perception, or in general, but mainly just the London one. What would be some artists and albums that sort of define that for you?
That like give the working class perspective on.
Yeah, like really kind of give you a voice.
Shit. Well, I would say just anybody underground, really, other than obviously people that are chasing mainstream success. But a big one has to be Kano.
Yeah.
I mean, his last two albums.
That last album was amazing.
Well, both of the last two ones, fucking Made in the Manor and Called Usual Summer, were both albums that really encapsulated lower class Britain, working class Britain. You know, talking about the issues that we encounter. You know, life crime is a big deal right now, and I think he tackled them on both albums.
Yeah, Kano's such a defining voice for the. Obviously, he's one of the originators of grime, so he's always been there. But like, just like, from such a young age, Kano was just in the background.
Yeah.
For me.
I mean, I think he put out Home Sweet Home when he was like 20, but a lot of the songs were recorded when he was 18.
Yeah.
And like, that album is, for me, like one, if not the best, like one of the best albums that Britain's ever made.
He's put in work.
Yeah, yes.
He's a great legend. Like, he's not even that old now. How old is he? Like 31, 32? Like, not...
I mean, he's a genius.
He's done so much.
He's a genius, man. Gotta love Kano.
That's someone who I really want to meet one day and hopefully interview. I think that's my main goal.
Okay.
Talk to him and Getz.
And Getz?
Yeah. Maybe not at the same time.
Yeah, it might get a bit silly. But yeah, I wonder what Getz would have to say. Kano's spoken about a lot of this shit quite recently as well. He had to sit down for Carla. That was
good. Yeah. Carla's another one. He's more of the woke side of it.
Being woke is important because we all have feelings, but it's important to be able to articulate, you know.
And the great thing about Akala is he's not like a biased woke.
No, he
like
gives you both sides.
Yeah, he says like, one of the really good things I respect about him, he's not like a Ponzi academic, like he's just a real kind of working class guy. And if he doesn't know the answer in the interview, he'll say, I don't know. I haven't had that experience.
Yeah.
And that's really important. Because if I don't know something, I don't know.
That's honesty, man. Yeah. It's honesty. Like, it's much better to say, it's quite easy to say, I don't know, rather than just make something up for the sake of it.
Yeah. I think people sometimes blab too much and like just make up opinions that they don't really have.
Just to sound
informed,
and shit.
Informed and woke. Yeah. But like I said earlier, I love Novelist.
Oh yeah, I don't really listen to Novelist, man. I get it, but I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't quite get why him personally. I think he's really talented and does his own production and stuff like that. But in terms of a skill set, he's not really there for me.
That's fair enough. I think I just like him because he's
positive. And
sometimes I do listen. I don't listen to that much of it compared to other music, but if I'm listening to like, if I'm on a day where there's a lot of like drill on or something, sometimes nice to hear somebody talking about like, be nice to people.
Okay.
Like,
so what are your opinions on drill?
My opinions on drill. I like drill to a certain extent, but obviously it's not my experience of the world.
Right.
So like, I'm never going to criticize something that like I don't have knowledge of.
Okay, but what are your feelings?
My feelings. I think it has a place. It mostly, as long as they're not condoning things or talking about a specific like shit they've done to like real people.
Yeah.
And like naming names and like, because that's just dumb at the end of the day. Like you're kind of criminalizing yourself, especially like, I did this to this guy. Like, oof, like.
Yeah, that is definitely a thing, and also
that's been used in cases.
Possibly stoking fires to like start more problems. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think about drill? Do you like drill?
I like some drill. I'm kind of with you in the sense that I don't really agree with the stuff that, because like, okay, a lot of people make drill because they want to make music. A lot of people make drill just because it's beef. Like,
yeah,
they want to blow and talk about how they got this man down and poked this guy, whatever. And I think that is bullshit. Like, you're kind of blocking a lot of people that are doing good work by doing that just for your own ego. And that's nonsense.
And you're furthering the negative imagery, kind of.
Yeah, but in terms of like the whole drill like being banned and whatnot,
I
don't agree with that. I don't really agree with censorship like that. Like, I think Krept and Conan made a song called Ban Drill.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. And other examples as well. Yeah, I don't know, man. I still don't agree with censorship. And also, like,
it's like the cancel culture thing, in a way.
In a way. Because
I think you've spoken about that before.
Yeah, a few times.
So, maybe we won't get too deep into that now, but like, obviously there's stuff that is fucked up, and we need to criticize people who are saying mental, potentially dangerous stuff. But like, if it's something minor that they said when they were 13, I'm not so into like, let's destroy this person.
If they were really, really young, like that, 13, then okay, yeah, maybe not destroy them. But I feel everyone's entitled to have their own feelings on like what offends them. My only problem is that people are inherently hypocrites. Like,
oh yeah, we all are.
Yeah, like everyone has their own like kind of like boundaries on what offends them, and this guy might offend you, but another guy might say a similar thing, and you think it's cool because you kind of know him, you know?
Yeah. But I can be sensitive. I can be quite sensitive to stuff. But like, and it's not good to bottle stuff up. But sometimes you have to be like, just take a step back and think like, there's no point being emotional right now, because we're having a normal discussion.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So
how does that relate to counterculture?
Because if I'm offended, that's my offense to take, if that makes sense. Like, so like, I'm entitled to be offended, as we all are.
Okay, but you shouldn't be like kind of like pushing it on everyone else.
I'm not pushing it on other people unless it's obviously mental. Like if they're like talking about like killing people or something really far like extreme, then I'm going to be like, obviously that's morally bad. But if it's something like small, like, I don't know, can't really think of an example.
If they're talking about killing people on a song, is it fine?
No. But at the same time, like, we that's the thing, like, because that's the thing, that's a really important discussion to have, actually, because that's in so much of the music I've listened to.
Yeah.
Like, I say about drill, like, how I'm not, some of that in drill I'm critical of. But at the same time, like, I grew up on, like, American hip-hop, like, like NWA and stuff. That was really, really, like, intense stuff, man.
It was, and also, it's the reality, though, you know?
Yeah.
If it's someone's reality, then if you don't relate to it, how can you judge? You can't really fully understand it.
True, as long as they're not actively
killing people.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a musician, if you're like a fairly successful musician, and you're still like going out and like robbing people and shooting people, that's not good for your career. That's a bit silly.
And it's just really stupid. Yeah, I feel like at that stage, you kind of have a responsibility to yourself, to the people that are watching you, to do the right thing. You know?
Yeah.
Like you're leveling up now, so level up.
Yeah. You're leveling up. You have a chance to make something better of your life.
Exactly.
Don't throw it down the toilet.
For clout. For
clout and likes and views. And also you're influencing kids who could potentially think like, I could do that kind of stuff because that's going to get me loads of money.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
bad.
Man. But I guess, again, that comes down to that mentorship as well, you know, showing a different way. And also, infrastructure is lacking. It's lacking. I feel like we don't have any permanent spaces for us. Like, almost any space you could think of is temporary. Even down to the online spaces.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, apparently, Link Up TV are on their last strike with YouTube. And I already saw what happened with GRM. Like the original GRM, they got shut down and so much content was wiped off the face of the earth. If that happens again with Link Up. They've
all got close. I think the only, I don't know. I guess SBTV is a bit different because that's a bit more.
SBTV are cunts, man.
Oh, you don't like SBTV?
You know what? Yeah, I fully respect Jamal and whatnot. But there's a lot of things that are questionable. He signed Nines, for example, and then when Nines was going through his troubles, chopped him like a hot potato thing.
I feel for Nines, man.
Yeah,
it's alright.
But Nines is coming back, man. And then I think Jamal will see how much he was going to regret that.
Yeah.
Because he's doing that fucking OBE boy.
But it's yeah. So there's a lot of people who I'd like to see come back, you know, like. But you know, if they're in a certain situation, then not everyone can come back from that. Like there's that guy. Who's that guy in America? Taxstone, you know, the interviewer guy.
Yeah.
He's allegedly done something quite mad.
That whole Taxstone situation is kind of murky. I'm not sure really what happened 100%.
Yeah. Because I've seen the footage of that. And like, the footage, maybe they have other evidence that they didn't release. Because obviously it's the police, so they can't reveal everything. But like, you don't actually see him do that much in that video. Or like, yeah, there's so many people.
That's the thing, man. Sometimes they just want to win, the police or whatnot. Like, if they can get you, then it's good enough.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We'll never fully know.
They get one person, they can take out the rest.
Yeah. Or they don't need to take out the rest. They can just say that one's enough. Like, make an example of that one person.
Yeah. They like to parade people.
Exactly. Like they're doing with the fucking kid that had a fucking...
the guy with the weed, man.
Half a gram of weed.
They've always done that throughout history, like back in like the medieval times and everything. They would like put people on display and like in cages or like throw like tomatoes at them.
Yeah. I guess in a way it satisfies like our human like primal like desires, you know.
We have a primal desire for revenge.
Revenge and just to see other people suffer.
Yeah.
Because it's cathartic.
Yeah, it's really bad though. We need to. I feel like we should have got past that by now, but it's still happening.
Yeah,
I think we're always going to be somewhat
primal in that sense.
Primal and like animalistic, because it's just human nature.
Yeah, I mean, fucking Katie Hopkins makes a living off that.
Yeah, you know? Katie Hopkins is a really extreme example of delusion. Like, someone that believes their own bullshit so much.
Well, it doesn't help when you've got like a huge following that also believe you. A lot of people defend her, a lot of people agree with her.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, sometimes it's hard because I don't know, I personally see myself as living in a bubble of like logic, where like I see things for how they truly are, although that might not be fully the case.
Yeah.
But
I think we all do.
yeah, we all
We all have an assumption that we're right.
Yeah, and we're seeing things the right way.
But there's so many interpretations that it's hard to be like, find a common ground.
True, but it helps if you have an open mind, so you can see both points of view, and also some empathy.
True.
If you lack empathy, you will never see it like both ways.
Yeah, I think it's important to be empathetic because we can see other people's side.
Yeah.
It's kind of normal for people to have a tendency to be like, I'm right and you're wrong, and I'm going to shut you down, and you're like a terrible person. But I think we just need to have like a broader kind of
I agree, man.
understanding of human imperfection, you know. So like no one's perfect.
True. Yeah, I think if that comes about anytime soon, then the young people in our society will have a much easier time, because like they are the most imperfect. They're still growing. They're still learning.
Yeah, and I think a really good point to sort of come to a close on is like, we can't penalise someone for stuff they did when they were like 15.
Depends
necessarily.
What it is. Yeah.
Unless they're like psychotic. But there's like, we could talk about all these intricacies all day. Like,
yeah.
Obviously, if you've gone on like a killing spree, you need to go to jail and stay there. But like, if you've like got in the wrong crowd and like put graffiti on the wall, we're not going to throw you in jail because that's mental.
Okay. I mean, like certain things, like, I mean, punishments when you're like really young, obviously, once you turn 18, the state gets wiped clean. So that isn't really much of an issue, like in terms of like criminal record and whatnot. But other things, like just like, I don't know, what you've said and whatnot, I guess it depends on like also the gap in time from like when you said it, and also is the evidence of changed behaviour.
Yeah.
If there's none, then
has someone reformed?
Yeah.
That's the whole point of justice that I feel like the establishment forget. It's like, at the end of the day, you have to reform someone. You can punish someone, but if they're not rehabilitated, and yeah, they've done the time, but they've come out, and then they're like still the same person with the same worldview, and they still want to do bad stuff.
Or worse.
Or they're worse, because a lot of people go to jail, or not just jail, or like just any environment that isn't necessarily good for them, where they feed off other negative people and they become worse.
That's the problem, man. I feel like our society is way more focused on like punitive measures rather than like rehabilitation. It's not always about punishment. There's got to be like a change that you're trying to bring about for the better, because they have to come out eventually.
Yeah, I agree completely. I think we need to really reform the justice system, but
that's definitely,
they're not going to do that unless we bring our own ideas to the parliament.
And that's definitely like a more complicated and a deeper conversation there.
Yeah, that's probably a conversation for a different time, man.
Probably, yeah.
But, you know, yeah. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up.
Sweet.
It's been really good to talk to you, man. Thanks for coming.
No worries, bro. Thank you for having me.
I hope to talk to you again at some point.
I'm down, man. Shout me.
Brilliant.
Cool.